Well, the roller coaster ride continues. Oh my gosh. So, first off, we got through the funeral, which was awful. And now, Jeffrey, that chapter 33 was so emotionally, sad, just draining and awful. Um, it talks about it being January. Remember when he showed up in this town, it was school was still going on. It was fall, and he stayed with the Beals, and then for Thanksgiving and Christmas he was with Grayson, and now it's January. So time is going by, and January of that year was too cold and dry for snow. It was a month of frozen hardness of ice. That's symbolism. It's not just talking about the weather. It's talking about Jeffrey and where he is emotionally. He's just cold. He just can't connect with anyone. He runs off and he's at Valley Forge, staying at this national park, and he's just staying in these little recreated huts. And it said, that whole he can see all of these people who took him in and took care of him and how they all disappeared from his life. Some by his own choice, some not by his own choice. And the fact that he said in that bedeviled army there would be no more recruits, no one else would orphan him. He can't handle the idea of connecting with someone again because every time he does, they're taken away. And so, knowing it would not be fast or easy and wanting, deserving nothing less, grimly, patiently, he waited for death. He's just going to lay there and wait until he dies? How long is that going to take? Days. Awful, just awful place to be. Um, just horrible. And with mental health being such a big issue right now, especially during this pandemic that we're experiencing and people are shut up, I just feel I need to tell you guys I would rather listen to what you have to say and hear you crying and talk to you, even via Zoom, than have to attend a funeral. I'm here. Talk to me if you need me. Talk to someone if you need to. Don't go through what Jeffrey's going through and be alone. It's awful. Whew. Okay, moving on. Chapter 34. So thank heavens these two little crazy kids show up, and aren't they great comic relief right when we need it? Russell and Piper are a hoot. They are just little balls of energy. Ragamuffins definitely fits them. They are just insane. Um, and these two little kids, they can't be more than 5 or 6 years old. I mean, they're little and they're out on their own, way far away from any kind of town or anything like that. And they're going to Mexico. Off we go. They've packed, they've got supplies, they've got a plan. They're going. And Jeffrey can't handle the fact of these two little kids. He said, you know, um, Valley Forge is a good 5 or 6 miles from Two Mills. They might not have made it to Mexico, but they've come a long way and stayed out overnight, and someone somewhere must be worried sick about them. That says something. He would want someone to be worried sick about himself, and so he's hoping that these kids have someone worried sick about them. 5 or 6 miles isn't very far if you think about it, but in some ways, for two little kids, that's a long way. 5 or 6 miles is like from Main Street School to downtown Milan. That's a ways. And off they are on their own. Hmm. Okay. So he talks them into coming back to town by using his free pizza. Smart boy. See how it all circles back around? Amazing. Anyway, and they get into town, and right after they've had the pizza, um, Giant John McNabb is like, "What are you doing with my little brothers?" Oh my gosh, did not expect that. So they end up going back to the McNabb house. Isn't that place lovely? Someplace we would all want to live. I mean, in theory, on paper, they have a house with a dad who brings them food, tells them to do their homework, Oh my goodness. Sounds like a good place until you really look at it. Just saying, do your homework isn't parenting. Throwing a bag of Burger King on the table and let these kids rip into it like wild dogs is not parenting. I don't know any of you that live in a house where this kind of behavior would be acceptable, where you're literally trying to rip a Whopper out of someone else's hand and no adult says anything. None of us live that way. Thank heavens. Um, and the filth in this house. Oh, now I'm a bit of a slob and things tend to get cluttered from time to time. Um, but filth. Oh my goodness. This is like a whole nother level of filth. You know, that the animals are going to the bathroom on the floor and nobody cleans it up. You know, that there's peanut butter smeared on the floor and no one cleans it up. There was an autopsy performed on a large bird, like a crow. You know what an autopsy is? That's that surgical procedure that they do on a dead body to see what caused the death. So someone brought a dead bird in, laid it on the kitchen table, cut it open to examine its insides, and then left it there? Ah! This place is awful. Anyway, so there's all of this stuff going on, this craziness in this house, and yet he stays there. And there was one other little piece to this puzzle. They're like in that hole in the ceiling that they jump through. How big does this hole have to be? But anyway, and they're like firing their toy guns. And he's like, "Who are you shooting at? Who do you think?" And he points the barrel of his submachine gun toward the bedroom door, towards the east end. This is just the tip of the iceberg of the level of racism going on in this house. Okay. Um, it's it This is just not a good place. And yet he stays. We'll have to find out why he stays. Why here of all places? When he was willing to lay out in the freezing cold and wait for death, why is he staying here? He didn't want to get attached to anyone again, I thought. Hmm. We'll find out more about this next time. You guys have a great day. We're going to get this finished before the end of the year. I promise. It's so good. You're going to love it. All right. Be kind to one another. Stay safe and healthy. I hope to see you all soon. Um, put some comments in the class comment section and let's talk about this crazy McNabb house. What are your thoughts and feelings about that? Okay. All right. See you next time. Bye.